Hello everyone, my name is Larseth, and welcome back to episode 2 of our auction house and, in turn, gold making guide for World of Warcraft. The episode is going to be on terminology. So this will essentially go through a lot of the sort of terms or phrases which are used when sort of using the auction house or making gold, sort of among the community. So this will sort of gradually, I guess, introduce you to these phrases, so you might be able to recognise them in like the trade chats and stuff like that. So, by and large, the video in the background, with the exception of one or two things, which I'll use video to explain, most of it will be me speaking. But, you know, we'll put all of the annotations up on the screen as to what I'm actually saying, just in case you're not sure of the spelling or stuff like that. So let's get started. You might notice that I am on a different character. This one's level 1 Arms Warrior. And you might think, why have I got a level 1 running around? And that's because this is what it's generally called a bank alt, or a banker, or a mule, something like that. I just call them bank alts. These are basically level 1 characters that you drag all the way from the starting zone. So like a lot of people, just like this chap here who's sat on the bank, this is a bank alt, came all the way from the starting zone. For humans, that's Northshire. Walked in here, and you know, they use it for posting all their auctions. So what people will do with bank alts is they will use them to post all of their auctions. They will use them as additional storage to store loads of items. So if I come over here, we'll go into the guild vaults, which are back here. So on this character, I've got a guild set up just for this character. I'm the only person in this guild, and I've got tabs full of all bits and pieces, essentially. That might be stuff I want to keep, whatever. Or maybe sell later, recipes I want other characters to learn, but they don't have the skill to do so yet. Stuff like that. So people use bank alts to basically make up for the lack of storage on other characters, or just to basically segment their play. So, you know, if they want to spend a bit of time playing with the auction house, they go on one character. If they want to go farm, they go on another character, stuff like that. So that's basically what a bank alt is, or a mule, or a banker. They're incredibly common. A lot of people have them, so you'll see lots of them running around. So probably the next thing that you'll see in trade chat especially is a few sort of acronyms like WTB, WTT, and WTS. And a lot of the acronyms in WoW they don't really jump out at you as to what they actually mean. They're not terribly obvious. If you haven't played the game for a while. So WTB is want to buy. So normally if somebody's looking for a rare item, or maybe somebody is after a load of crafting mats, which I'll explain what those are, but there aren't any on the auction house, they will put in the trade chat saying, I want to buy such and such an item at such and such a price. So that's that. Want to trade is a little bit rarer. You don't tend to see that much. But normally that's when, as suggests, one person wants to trade one item for another. Rarely happens. Normally, people do that with pets. But, again, it is still quite rare. WTS, or want to sell, is by far the most popular one that you'll see all the time. I've used it. You'll see a lot of other bank alts use it. People just selling stuff in trade chat. So that's fairly standard. The rest of these are in no particular order. But it doesn't really matter what order they're in. You'll see that this is wildly different from the layout in the last episode, and that's because this is what it looks like when you've got a bunch of add-ons installed. Next episode, we'll go over all the add-ons, so don't worry about this yet. We'll deal with this in due course. So, what did I want to show you now? Right, so what we're going to do is find... Actually, no, let's go in here, search for all of the Shaldori... Oh no, Chaos Crystals. I'll do that. Right, so The next term is undercutting. And that is quite a simple term. It's basically where you post an item, or somebody, it's basically where an item is posted that is less than the existing buyout. So the cheapest price for Chaos Crystals is 349 gold exactly. If I was to post one for 348 gold, 99 silver, and 99 copper, that's technically undercutting. I can undercut by loads. I could put it as 1 gold, and that's still called undercutting. The reason people do this is because it makes sure, like, the cheapest price appears at the top of the list, and obviously most people want to pay the cheapest price. So that's why people do that. So, yeah, fairly obvious. Next term, again, not necessarily anything, in any particular order, is farming. And this is where people will go out and they will search for they will basically do a certain action which results in a certain item over and over and over again. So if you have a gathering profession like mining or herbalism, you might follow a particular route where all of these herbs or mining nodes spawn, and you might gather them for a few hours and then sell all of the materials or do something with the materials. That might mean running a old raid over and over again for and selling all of the gear that drops and collecting all of the raw gold. I'll do a whole video on stuff like that later, but that's just what it is. Flipping is another term, and that's where people buy stuff on the auction house. You would have noticed, let's get that back up. Let's get Arcana. This probably would be a bad example. So you'll notice the percentage here is the percentage of market value. Actually, let's get a Sheldori. Oh no, I clicked the wrong one. It's not going well. Oh, actually, no, this will work. So the percentage of market value. So the market value is basically the average price, 100% being the average price. And you can see some of these are less than the average price. So occasionally people who don't know the value of things or just want to sell something fast will post items at quite a low price relative to what they are actually worth. Flipping is where you buy these items and then resell them at what they're actually supposed to be, what price they're meant to be. So I think I could give you an example of this. Again, I will show you these add-ons, so don't worry about this for the moment. That'll be in the next video. So these are items, I think these have all been reset recently, so that's probably why. But these are all items that have been resold. So this item I bought for 355 gold, and I resold it for 2,055 gold. So that is what is called a flip. I flipped it from one price to another. Lovely. Next one is, I don't tend to use it, but it's barking. So like a dog barking. And what that is where it's basically somebody saying something in chat. Like if you were doing, want to sell such and such, you saying in chat is called barking. Or if you do like /yell and do that, same thing. It's generally not a terribly often used term, I would say, but there it is. You might see people go on about the gold cap. So the gold cap is the maximum amount of gold which could be held on any one character. That has increased recently, and I think it's currently 999,999. I think. Or it might have been moved up to millions. On this character, I've currently got 676,000, and on all my characters collectively, I've got 756, sorry. So I'm nowhere near the gold cap, but that is what gold cap is. So the next one is mats, M-A-T-S. So a mat it's just short for materials, essentially. So a material normally refers to something that is used in the crafting professions. That might be cloth, metal, food, literally anything which can be turned into something else, I think is basically classed as a material. Anything that could be used in crafting professions generally. So that's that. ROI, return on investment, that's the same as in real life. So that normally refers to well, it just basically it refers to the amount of money you're spending on mats, or how much your mats are worth in comparison to how much you can sell an item for if you were to craft something, for example. It could also apply to return on investment if your investment is time, depending on, the whole, as the goblins in this game say, time is money, friend. So like the time that you invest might be worth something to you. Like, could you be making more money doing something else in game? Who knows? That's up to you. Sniping is the next term. And for that, you do need add-ons, really, to do it properly. So this is Sniper in this add-on, TradeSkill Master. And what that does is you start Sniper, and it'll scan the last page of the auction house continuously. I think it must be a reset of... I think you can adjust the reset, but it's a few seconds. It'll rescan it, and it'll show the percentage of market values. So, I mean, what you're looking for here is for people to post items at the wrong price, and then you snap them up. Or post something at a price that's a little bit less than what it should be, and then you snap it up and flip it. So you can get lucky, and people post items that are way less than what they're actually worth. There's a few problems. I mean, I'll go into this in another video, but essentially you could spend all day sat here and not get nothing, for example. That's one problem. Another problem is somebody, people make mistakes. Somebody might go, oh crap, and go to cancel it, and you've already bought it. Some people might say, tough luck. Depends on your morals, but I'll go into that in another video. Next one. Flooding, or flooding the market. So that is essentially, imagine on my character, or on your character, you have a load of one material stocked up. Like, your banks are full of it. For whatever reason, you've just held on to it, you haven't bothered to sell it, you thought you were going to use it in crafting, and you didn't end up doing it. So flooding the market would be if you were to put all of those items on the auction house at one time, you would then... there would be way more supply than there is demand. So the price would plummet for all those items. So you would crash the market, essentially. So now what some people will do is buy all of that and then craft it, use it in crafting, and turn it into something else which can be sold. But flooding is basically just the act of, I guess, putting a load of stuff onto the market so that the supply far outstrips that outweighs the demand. Next two are actually just names of add-ons, and that's TradeSkill Master, which is this one, TSM is the acronym, and TradeSkill Master, which is the add-on, which is probably the main add-on which everyone uses now, I would say, for auction house things. But again, I'll go into it in the next episode. And next one is the Undermine Journal, TUJ, and that, although it is an add-on, I don't know whether you'll be able to see it in this one. Okay, there you go. So the middle box out of these three is the stuff that the Undermine Journal provides you. It's just a different source. TSM and Undermine Journal both provide you with item average prices and stuff like that, which I'll go into later. Undermine Journal is just another version of that. Undermine Journal is also a website, so you can go on the website and look up what items are worth. Again, I'll be doing a whole video on that. And last few, reset. So, or resetting. So if an auction, if, for example, if the price of an item drops really lowly, because some people don't care about how much an item is worth. Like, they will happily flood the market, make the price plummet, so then nobody is making any money. Some people are happy to do that as long as they are selling stuff. Resetting the market would be if you bought literally everything that is below your desired price, regardless of whether you needed it. You just buy it all, and you keep buying it and keep reposting it at your desired price. So, like, I might want something to sell at 10 gold. If all the auctions are at 5 gold, I'll buy all of them up and put it at 10. So basically the idea is to get the price back up to what it perhaps should be. That's the purpose of resetting. And the last two are Twink, So a Twink character is a character that has normally been stopped at a certain level, and people will pay obscene amounts of money for bits of gear to min-max their characters to make them as good as possible. Normally this is done for PvP, so that you can make your characters insanely strong. But it's done for other reasons as well. Some people just do it for fun. So that has implications for what items you can sell, which, again, another video. And the last one is shuffling, which is actually probably one of the main things I do, other than a bit of flipping. So shuffling would be an example of this, is if I have, it's a good example, Shaldori Silk. So currently, Shaldori Silk, the lowest price is that. If this is quite cheap now, so what I generally do is any Shaldori Silk that's below 6 gold, I will buy, and using my tailoring that I have on my main, I will craft some bracers. I think there's 785 item level bracers. I will then disenchant them into, they disenchant into Leylight shards. So I know the cost to make those bracers each is approximately, I think it's about 45, 50 gold, something like that. These generally sell for around 80. They're a bit low at the moment, but they normally sell for around 80. So already that's 20 gold profit on every single one I've made. So that would be considered a shuffle, moving something from one thing to another, from like one profession to another, and gradually increasing the price of something. Another thing I could do is, where have I got them? So I used the items which, like the disenchanting materials, which I got from disenchanting those bracers, to make other enchants, which further increases the value of that, you know, the shards which I got. So this is, shuffling is basically about turning items of low value into items of higher value, and so on and so forth. And there's pretty much something like that for most professions. Again, a whole video on that. I apologize if this video has been a little long. I don't actually have a timer, so I have no idea how long it's been. So I apologize if it's been a little bit long, but hopefully it sort of gives you a good idea of a lot of the terminology which you'll generally come across. There is a lot of other stuff, but I found, or I tend to find, that it's not so popular in everyday use. But certainly all the stuff I've mentioned, you will come across quite often, some more than others. So I hope that's helped. Next episode, we'll sort of pick it up a little bit again and go on to add-ons. And we'll start looking at all the different add-ons you can use for Auction House, or for the Auction House, which in turn makes you money, and how they can basically make you a lot more efficient, how they can make it a lot more user-friendly, because the current UI is absolutely awful. It's really bad for a game. I suppose a game this old is to be expected unless they completely redo it. But so next episode we'll be looking at a few of the add-ons I've got. But I hope you found this useful, and I will speak to you in the next one. Take care.